Hello there. Welcome to another New Spurs Order podcast. We're recording nice and early this time in the week. Be myself hosting and be joined by Scott Hall for this afternoon's recording. Man, thank you for joining. And how are you doing? Slightly new setup.
Yeah, sort of a new setup. Got a new webcam, so for all you people that are seeing me, you'll see me in full HD,
Mhm.
which is obviously a great thing for your eyesight. So we'll keep that plugged in. Um, I think we actually we I've missed the last few, so I didn't get to do the end of season review of you guys. Would have been nice. But I'm sure we got some evergreen content for the Patreon coming soon, especially with me and Sai. So
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, that's been a little while coming, but that'll obviously come out over the summer, I'm sure. And yeah, it was an interesting few weeks of podding. Yeah, especially last week where we ended up having essentially what is a 15-year-old who's been outright attacked and bullied online. But that's online, by the way, not anyone from us. Um, it's just an interesting dynamic on football Twitter, especially Spurs Twitter, where anyone can get it. Apparently, everyone just seems to be getting Neil Mapied or whatever else. Um, it's a crazy world out there, but there's another divisive topic at the moment, um, where it's come out with news that we are preparing a bid for a certain Conor Gallagher who's been rumoured um, to be really fancied by Ange for probably about a year now. Probably ever since he's joined. He's been probably making a bit of a beeline for him. So I can't remember what your kind of general thoughts on him were. Like, what are your thoughts on Conor Gallagher and how would he potentially fit into Spurs? And I say ultimately as well, the fee that we'd have to pay for him.
yeah, I'm trying to think of like what the nicest way of putting this would be. I can't think of the nicest way of putting it, to be honest with you. He doesn't move the needle. And I don't think that's anything of a shock to most Spurs fans or any fan really. The name's not glamorous, um, which is the typical go-to for a lot of fans. It's because it's not a glamorous name and all that. It's true. The name is not glamorous at all. However, we watched him at Crystal Palace and we thought, yeah, there's something, there's something there. There's a decent player there. During his time at Crystal Palace, was younger then. I think he was about 22 at that point. So it wasn't a case of like we didn't have how should I put it? Um, we didn't have decent stocks in him. But this season just gone with Chelsea, and probably I think he's been at Chelsea for the last 2 seasons. I could be wrong, but definitely this season at Chelsea, a lot of people got to watch him because we extensively watched um, the Chelsea season just
Mm.
like an utter car crash. And mind you, the data and metrics are saying that this kid is a kid, 24-year-old, can easily come into our team and do a job as that box to box midfielder and do it very well. He's high energy, high pace, all of that jazz. In the games that I've seen him play for Chelsea, I don't want nothing of what I saw at Spurs. So I'm not all for this. And I can't believe I'm saying this because a lot of fans will probably think, oh, you're just chatting. Um, I'll get to that question by Papa Blackson. Um, I generally think this is more of a club move than an Ange Postecoglou move because of our homegrown quarter. Um, I generally think this is, the club saying, look, we're going to need to get some homegrown players. This is the list. Take your pick. And obviously, maybe he's then looked at it and thought, I'll take Connor out of that list. All right, cool, whatever. If that's the case, but I do feel it's more of a club purchase than anything. Is Gallagher more palatable if we get one of the other, um, uh, Wafer or Eze? I don't even know if I pronounced his name right, so correct me if I have. Um, honestly, the way our season went towards the second half, we'd have to get all three of them. We're not. Our squad depth was absolutely disgusting last season, so we're not really in a position where it's like one or two out of the three. I think we need all three, you know, because if you look at it like this, let's say we got Gallagher, just for argument's sake. Let's say we did pay 40 million for him, or 50 million, because that's what Josie said they're not budgeting. So let's say we pay 50 million for him.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way we're paying 50 million for Conor Gallagher to just be on the bench. You've got to be kidding me. Because we've had to literally deal with paying 50 million or thereabouts for Brennan Johnson, and we don't even want to see him start. So why would we spend that money and not say Gallagher is starting? So if Gallagher is definitely starting, you know who's on the bench, right? You know who that pushes? Sarr.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that one bit. I think Sarr's had a great season. I don't think he deserves to be a benchman for anyone, if you want my honest opinion. And I don't see Gallagher being the six either. So boy, I honestly don't see how this works. I want to be proven wrong. This is one of those transfers. If it does go through, I want to be proven wrong so badly. You know, I want people to be like, oh yeah, you got it wrong. You said he didn't move the needle. You said he went nothing special. Look at him. He's done everything great. I want it. I want it badly. I want to be so wrong about this, because if I'm right, the pitchforks better be ready for Levy.
That's fair. For me, I mean, Gallagher did have. I've had a lot of concerns about Gallagher, and most of them are still there. They're still valid, in my opinion. He did have a strong end to the season. He had a strong game for England, not for gun against Bosnia. Like, he looks a lot sharper in his general ball retention. He's making snappier decisions. He looks more confident, and he does protect his back line quite well. More so from the halfway line to the opposition half. I don't know about it being protected just in front of the back line, say if we are under pressure. But I can see why. But I feel like at the same time, he would need a top six to be playing alongside that can just be disciplined and just be confident in progressing the ball. And I'm not entirely sure we've got that at the moment. I have faith that Bentancur can kind of do that role, although I do fancy him as more of an 8. In fact, he's actually a better 8 than Gallagher can be, and he already is, and still has a higher ceiling to potentially improve. And Bissouma, if we get even 75% of his form in the last season's first 10 games, then we've got our 6 nailed, and we can sign a young Project 6 to reinforce him, and then obviously look to bring him in, whether that's a Whiffer, an Archie Gray, a Hayden Hackney. I quite like Hayden Hackney, and still think we should prioritise the 6, and especially for the fee as well. So, okay, I was trying to work out how much, give or take, Tottenham's budget might be without player sales.
Yeah.
And I was looking earlier, like we spent, if you include Pedro Porro, which was a weird thing, like we had a loan until the summer, and then we paid the rest of the money in the summer. We spent 140 million, give or take, net. That including player sales of Harry Kane. And I'm expecting us to sell relatively well this summer. Like, I expect us to get around 70 million in. So I'm thinking that plus about at least 60 million net. I just don't see us contributing that much of a budget and allocating that much to sign a player of a profile of Gallagher's, of which I feel like we've just already got in the squad. And this is like Bentancur and Sarr aside, like we've also got Devine, Bergvall. coming through. Tyrese Hall, I imagine, will be used as more of a 6, but we've got options there. We may even though it's probably a bit too early, may even look to bring in Tyrese Hall as getting some game time next season just across Europe and the Cups. But yeah, I somewhat doubt it. And yeah, I just wouldn't want us to allocate that much of a budget to someone like that, where we can allocate it to a forward more. We can allocate it to, yeah, a number 6 midfielder if we choose to go down that route. And we're looking for left centre backs / left backs and right backs as well. So yeah, I would just rather prioritize the profiles of players that we need at the moment. We've had Dan Soff in our group chat arguing his case. And he sells him quite well, to be fair. But at the same time, like, I think a lot of Tottenham's interest is based on if the price can come down. And I think with Aston Villa's now interest in him as well, I think it just puts Chelsea in too strong of a negotiation position to turn around and accept less than their asking price. Like, they sell very well. I don't know how they got the money they did for Mount in the first place, let alone their current club captain. So
they do sell very well, but the problem is having seen all the talks and everything that's going online and everything. Like, they really do. They're not in really a position to kind of muck this about, if I'm being brutally honest. Because if by the 30th of June, and I can see this being dragged out to the end of June, by the way, by the 30th of June, if they've not got all their chips in order, then bloody hell, you know, they could be hit with whatever Nottingham Forest and what's that other team? Flipping Everton got hit with. Or the points deduction, and Chelsea do not want to be in that position. Like, let's be brutally honest here. Like, they do not want to be in that position where, you know, they're trying to get back into Europe and, you know, they miss out because of points, you know. So I feel like, yes, although they do negotiate extremely well, and they do sell players extremely well, this might be the first summer or season in which that won't be the case, where they legitimately will have to like sell these players for less than what their evaluation is. Right now they're trying to play hardball, which you expect them to do. That's all good business run teams should do. But there's absolutely no chance any of these deals. There's like 6 clubs that can all be hit with fines and points deductions.
But the thing is, with Chelsea, they can just sell one of their other hotels to Marty Bird, aka Zelinski. Apparently, according to Ornstein, they're not even in a position with PSR they have to sell, because their hotels and stuff that they've been, well, their property in general that they've been selling off has brought them back in line with it. So it's a weird one. And that all said, I don't even think Gallagher even wants to move. I mean, he might go Aston Villa, but I don't know if he wants Spurs.
No, he doesn't want to move, period. It's not whether he'll go Aston Villa. He doesn't want to move. He is a Chelsea boy. He is the captain. He doesn't want to go nowhere. But listen, your club is messing about. Like, yes, I know they could probably sell one of their, like, that's one of the things that got said. They could potentially sell some real estate and come back into line, but that's not the case. Apparently, from what I've just read, especially what's going on online and on Sky Sports, that's not going to cut it. You know, so if they keep marking, I want Chelsea to not sell nobody, by the way. Let me make that very clear to everyone that's listening. I do not want Chelsea to sell a single player. Why? Because I want Chelsea to be hit with one of the most egregious fines and points deduction I've ever seen in world football. I want them to start next season with a minus 25 point deficit and a 6.6 million fine. I want tears for them and every single Chelsea fan around the world, including one of my uncles.
There we go. Yeah, I'll be all for that, to be honest. I just don't see it happening. They'll probably just bust case like Man City, or
always the case.
launch a counter attack like Man City just to keep the lawyers busy. Like I'm yeah, I don't even see Man City getting done with any kind of penalties, let alone
I'm with you,
um
by the way. I agree.
let alone Chelsea. It would be quite funny just to rattle some of the proper Chelsea lot. This isn't even any of the guys over at Chelsea, but the proper Chelsea lot who absolutely adore Gallagher, had the banner of him in their final home game,
Yeah,
and then we
I
signed their
mean,
captain.
yeah.
For that purpose,
Yeah.
I would find it quite funny, but the novelty of that would even wear off very quickly, to be honest. And like Papa Blankson says, like, there's cheap alternatives to Gallagher, even if we do go for someone of his profile, like Joe Bellingham. Joe Bellingham is costing less than half of Gallagher. And
Has anyone, maybe Papa Blackson could add on to this, because I haven't watched a Sunderland game all season. So has anyone got like any like real stocks? Because I don't do the whole FB ref data stuff. If I haven't seen you, I haven't seen you. It's that simple. You know, I'm not one of those fans that get told a name like Emamite Cabinet and then turn around and say, oh yeah, he's a great player. Like that guy. I have to have seen you play.
just reminds me a lot of Delhi. I can't even lie.
Yeah, oh yeah, but
this is like, yeah.
With Delhi, I didn't even watch any of the. I think I watched one MK Dons game, and I was like, ooh, you know, that's something. Yeah, but I knew Delhi wasn't. I didn't see us signing Delhi to be a starter. He earned the right to
No,
be.
no one did.
You know, you can't argue with that.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Who knows? But they've also kind of rumored us to have not got a set budget this summer, by the way, and they've just felt, yeah, we're just going to treat it on a player by player basis. But I don't believe it. And the thing is, I'm not willing to overcommit funds just to reach this club trained or homegrown quota anyway. One, we've got, I mean, they don't meet the club trained quota straight away, but they're still homegrown if they get put in the squad for the Premier League and Europa League. Worst comes to worst, if we don't have enough club trained players, we just have to register less players, like 23 or 24 players instead of 25. Like, it's not that deep. Thank you to a football manager for teaching me that anyway. But yeah, it's I just don't think it's worth meeting a quota if you're going to just sign players who aren't really going to move the needle for your team, as you say. And Papa Blakeson saying, yeah, every
Papa
watch
Blankson,
white
stop it.
Joe looks like a mob between Bentancur,
Stop it right now, Papa Blankson. If you're lying to me,
and
I'll
Sarr.
find the address. Because if this is the mode you're saying he is, buy that kid immediately. Buy him now. Buy him today. How much did they say? 20 million.
20 mil. Yeah.
Hey. Yeah.
Hey.
You got a loan? Are you able to take a loan out with Halifax Banking?
We are. We're in cahoots with the Bank of England, so who knows?
Hey, listen, a small loan, you know, loan a fee. Let me. Listen, if he really is in that mode, or even close enough to that mode, I'll bring it. He's young. He's a young buck as well. All I know about him is that apparently he's like a man mountain. Pause. Like he's. Hey.
I didn't say anything.
I didn't say nothing. It's you that
I thought there was more to that sentence as well. I just wanted you to drown out the man mounting thing.
I couldn't. That's why I started laughing. But I mean, that midfield will be stacked. To be fair, if you think about it, if you take Gallagher out of it for argument's sake, if you put say Joel, Bentancur, Basuma, Bergwall, Sarr, Madison. That's 5 players. Tyrese Hall, if you bring him up as one of the young bucks that
he's ready, man.
That's 6 or 7 players in that position. So, or in the midfield position, I should say. Yeah, so yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with us signing somebody like Joe. Because you said it best. You know, we've got Bergwall coming in, and so you know he has to like. I'm sure he's going to get some game time. Like, I don't think he's not going to get any game time. Like, our starting midfield, the only players... actually, I was going to lie. I was going to say the only players that are really looking over their shoulder in our midfield in terms of getting a starting spot. It's probably going to be Bentancur because of the season he had, but it's not his fault. He's just come back off a very long injury. Bissouma, because what he showed towards the second half of the season was absolutely egregious. And for me personally, Maddison, I wasn't impressed with what he did second half of the season. It's not good enough. So those would be the players that I'd say are looking over their shoulder. The only one that I'd say earns the right to start and has their name on the starting sheet is Sarr. But we're getting players like Bergvall, possibly Gallagher, that can also start in these positions. So I'm like, what's going on over here? Because Maddison needs somebody to challenge him, unless you get Eze. If you get Eze, then that makes sense. And then who else? I'm just not starting next season. I'm not starting next season with Bissouma at the 6. You must be mad. You actually must be mad. I'm not starting with him at the 6. No way. No way, no how. Sorry.
Damn.
He's lost every ounce of respect I had for him. Every single ounce. Like right now, I'd actually listen to offers this summer. 100%.
Could get a cheeky Saudi offer. I'm just trying to think who he would even sign in this place. I don't think anyone would sign.
It looks like Edison's going to Liverpool. That's the last rumor I just saw. It looks like Edison's going to Liverpool for 45. Like,
it's cheeky, that one.
I mean, that's
a good fee as well, though.
It's a very good fee.
45 million euros or 50 million pounds for Gallagher. I mean, yeah, if they can beat that, they can get in a new.
That's all I'm gonna say. If I'm gonna be nice, the only thing I'll say is that one is not a glamorous name. Like we got Tops over here. Got to say, welcome to my brother Tops. I see my brother Wes is in the cut. Wagwan and all the guys that are in the comments. Oh, Gogita is also here as well. So we've got people here that know football. They're gonna tell you they didn't like what Gallagher did last season. You know what I mean? Nobody liked
it. Yeah, it's a weird dynamic. I wanted to speak to Sof about this because it seems like a weird dynamic for Chelsea's midfield over there. Like, yes, Gallagher's obviously quite limited, but there seems to just be a little bit of politics going on with Pochettino. Like, he probably had to play Caicedo and Enzo no matter what, according to the owners, because these are £100 million plus assets. And he's like moving Enzo everywhere just so he can play. Caicedo needed time to bed in instead of start every game. And yeah, just that midfield balance was probably just full of players out for themselves. I mean, there's a lot of player power at Chelsea as well. And I thought on the surface level, it just looked like players were playing for themselves. And maybe that's partly because of Pochettino's tactics. It's just unfamiliar with what we saw at Spurs. But yeah, I think there was a lot of gaps in midfield due to players playing for themselves, leaving those big gaps as a result, just trying to do their individual things. And yeah, maybe in a better setup, Gallagher even looks better. And to be fair, as soon as Enzo came out of the team, like Caicedo and Gallagher just started playing for their lives and genuinely looked both really good. It's just, yeah, I just don't think, one, he can improve that much, and two, it's just too big of a fee for a profile we don't need, in my opinion. But we'll see if Sof can argue a stronger case, or Villa might just beat us to it. Oh no. But we've got a few players that are probably leaving soon. Like Genoa's president was apparently like in London today or yesterday, just to agree a little price for him. And Emerson looks like he's agreed to go to AC Milan, and we've dropped our asking price a little bit, which seems to like it's the norm for every negotiation, I feel like, because everyone's kind of kicking off like, oh, we're asking for 20 million euros. We're asking for literally every team sets a starting point and then gets brought down most of the time. Like, it's things like this just take a bit more time than people are patient enough to admit. I think we'll drop our asking price. I see us probably accepting something like 50 million euros for him, and then off he goes. Spends probably around 5, and then that's a cheeky 20 million already. But how do you feel about those two transfers at the moment?
What specifically, Spence, and to be honest, you get Spence out of the club. Honestly, it hasn't worked. It's an absolute travesty. I don't want to talk about whether there's an element of his career that's been unlucky in coming to Spurs. I don't necessarily think it's down to attitude. I think he just came at the
Yeah.
wrong time, wrong
I
manager.
think Spurs let him down, like signing
Yeah,
him for a dictator that was never going to play him.
yeah, exactly. It was that stupid guy with a toupee in Italy. Obviously he's gone back home to do fraud with Napoli. Boy, we'll wait and see how that works out. 5 million for Spence though is mad, considering the fact that he was like the late Saga of that summer, which was ridiculous because that's not what we wanted in terms of like an incoming player. And 20 million, and I think if I'm correct, I don't even know if he played 10 games. I really don't know if he played 10 matches, let alone I know he definitely didn't play 10 90-minute matches. Like I couldn't tell you a 90-minute game he actually completed for us in nearly 2.5 seasons. That's like insane. That's really insane. So nah. Yeah, Spence definitely had to be sold. In terms of Emerson, or Emma's son, as we used to call him.
Oh my fucking god! I forgot about that nickname.
Yeah, what a great nickname.
MSO.
What a great nickname. Now he's at least given us something in return. I mean, we spent 23 million. I think probably it might have been more in euros, like 30 million euros, but 23 million pounds basically. He's given us something. He's not a talent, but if we get anywhere near 20 million euros for him, that is an absolute steal because he's good defensively. He's just not good at anything else, which is scary. So yeah, 20 million for the two of them. It's actually egregious because we're selling Spence for 5 million, but I mean going off that evaluation, but I'll take it. I'll take it because if you take that 20 million and you reinvest it in, say, I don't know, Hayden Hackney or Job, come on,
You're sold on Joe.
Come on. Listen, Papa Black, I haven't even watched Joe, yeah? Like right now, after I get off this, I might just reel up some stuff on Sky, because I know Sky has a few of those like highlight games. But I reel up a few of those just to see. Man can't tell me he's in this mode and I'm not going to be like, that's interesting, Remember
I'm
last
just worried
summer?
about how he plays as a midfielder in the middle of the park, and that's my only main concern. But
Well, when you put it like that, England are about to play his brother as a 10. Real Madrid played his brother as a 10. His brother's a box-to-box midfielder. I don't care what he done this season. He done great. He done fantastic. Deserves all the shouts that he gets. His brother is a box-to-box midfielder. The greatest performances he ever put on was in his Dortmund shirt as a box-to-box midfielder. When he went to Madrid, he just done what he needed to do, like a real, true G. That's why I respect him fully, because he could have a bad game and still do what he needed to do to help the team. So I can respect it. But his actual best position is 8 as a box-to-box midfielder. Southgate is going to play him as a 10 because Southgate, and you people can hear me play this loud. I don't care if somebody from Southgate family clips this and shows it to him. Southgate is a fool. He's a clown of a manager. He was a clown of a player. And that's why he missed the penalty. I'm not going to sit here and lie to anybody. He's going to play Jude as a 10. He's not. But I digress. Job, if he's a box-to-box midfielder, that's perfect for us. That's exactly what we need. Saar does it, but I don't think we should burn Saar out. He's a young kid. Get some rotation in there. I'm not worried about us having a big squad with multiple players in the same position. I'm not worried about that. Because we've seen it work multiple times with the teams like City, United back in the day, Chelsea back in the day. We've seen it work so many times. Hell, even Arsenal have got 2 players for almost every position. So why can't we? I'm definitely with it, because you know which player is struggling to get into our team next season, right? Kulusevski.
Yeah,
he's in big trouble. He's in very, very big trouble.
That leads me to this question from Papa Blakeson about being worried. Are you worried? about the lack of winger links, and the striker market is dwindling. Sorry, with Zirkzee going Milan. I don't blame Zirkzee for going Milan, to be honest. It's such a missed opportunity for us because the fee is so low for someone as good as he is at his age, with as high of a ceiling as he has. 40 million euros is such a snip. But yeah, AC Milan are a bigger club than Spurs, for one. Two, AC Milan have got Champions League. He played his football last year in Italy as well, so he's obviously used to being in Italy. Obviously, I think you could only leverage him by just paying much higher wages, to be honest. But yeah, I think that one's been in the works for a while. I don't see us hijacking that whatsoever, which is a shame. Which is a shame because, yeah, even though like it would have been funny as well because Bologna got Zirkzee off Bayern Munich, who kind of just let him go to Bologna so they could facilitate Kane. Then Bologna, he has a good season out. We signed Zirkzee as Kane's replacement, and he'd probably end up balling out as well. And then, Bayern might have another trophyless season, and we'd just be like, well, oops, we got your boy. You should have just stuck with your boy. There you go. Would have been poetic, to be fair.
It would have been. I think Xerxes has done the right thing in terms of his career. I am worried about the lack of wingers because essentially, as it stands right now, you got Son, who we've been told is starting on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which means his understudy is Werner. Jesus Christ of Nazareth. We've got Richarlison, who says he's not leaving. And I'm going to say this right now that I'd imagine Richarlison's understudy, as it stands, is Troy Parrott, which is okay. I'm not actually against Troy Parrott being an understudy after the season he's had. To be honest with you, that would also sort out one of our homegrown quotas as well. By the way,
yeah, I just want us to look at him in preseason.
Yeah, exactly. Same preseason. Give him a preseason, see what he looks like. Either go and loan sell him, or like have him in the team. Richarlison should not be starting next season, but we'll see how that works out. And then on the right hand side, you got Kulusevski and Brennan Johnson. Jesus Christ of Nazareth! What the heck is that?
Tell me, what is it? I don't personally know, but yeah, it's just a thing where I feel like our striker situation isn't as bad as our winger position. And again, there should be a priority there. There's been next to no links though. I think us as a team, we're trying to prioritize just player sales at the minute, and I think the bulk of our transfers will probably come after the Euros. Not like we've got any strong targets which are going to the Euros, but I think that's just when we'll get the bulk of our sales done as well. But we'll see. We've been linked to some guy who I know who it is. I just can't pronounce his name. He's the Ukrainian winger at Girona, and that's been the latest link. But I literally know nothing about him, to be honest.
Ukrainian winger at Girona, I definitely didn't see. So I'm not going to do what those two Spurs fans did, where they're just going to be like, yeah, he's great.
Empty cabinet.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do none of that. Yeah, I definitely didn't see him. His name might have been said across all of these other YouTube and podcast shows, but I haven't. I don't think I've heard of the name or even been linked to. I read one article where linked to. I think his name's Gertrude or something like that.
Yeah, right back Feyenoord.
Didn't watch him. I'm not interested.
I need someone to just come in and really challenge Porro. I'm not surprised he didn't make it to a Spain squad, to be honest.
Never mind.
See, at the start of last season, we were like, there was obviously a lot of concern over someone who's a specialist wing back just coming in to play an inverted right back role. And he had the kind of opposite thing where you'd expect him to start off erratic and bad form. and then start to improve. But it was the opposite way around. He started off really, really well and then finished the season highly erratic. For the whole calendar year, he was erratic in possession, even more erratic in his defending, and then act surprised when he gets omitted from a Spain squad who are literally all about their composure. um, so it's funny to me where they've got Danny Carvajal, who's nailed first choice, right? Nacho Fernandez, who can play there, very experienced now, very calm, and then Jesus Navas, who's a good experienced head to reinforce that as a third choice. So
I don't know if any
it doesn't
Spurs fan
surprise me
wants
at
to hear.
all.
I don't know if any Spurs fan really wants to hear this, but I'm going to say Porro doesn't start ahead of any of those guys.
No, not okay. Maybe Navas, I can see
No,
it because
he
of his
doesn't
age,
start ahead
but
of
still.
any of those. Listen, let me break it down to you. I know people don't want to say this because it's the new age of football. It's the new age of sports where everyone's precision in this and all of that nonsense. He is a fullback. Forget left and right. His position, his starting position is at fullback. The number one remit for a fullback is defensive. You have to be decent just decent. You don't even have to be great, just decent at a defensive level. Your defensive prowess, your ability to actually scan and sense the danger has to be just decent. His is bad. At times it's even very bad. Like if you go watch all of our games back from last season, you will see switch after switch after switch after switch to the right hand side, and he is so far out of position. And people will be like, "Oh, it's because he's inverted," and I'm like, "No, because the same thing will happen on the left hand side where Destiny's at, but he will find himself 6, maybe 7 times out of 10 back in position quick enough." Porro is more than athletic enough to get back into position. He's just reading of the game is scary. So anytime it goes to the right hand side, you're like, we're really battling to actually win this ball back and go about our business. So I'm not surprised that he is flipping not in the Spanish team whatsoever. He's not good defensively, and he's shown it even worse towards the back end of the season. He's not good. Offensively, fine. He can argue with a few people. He can pass. He can deliver. He can shoot offensively. But you're not a winger. So why would I give a damn about your offensive attributes if you scare me on the defensive side 9 times out of 10? It doesn't make sense. Every time the ball goes over Romero's head, I'm like, where on God's green earth is Porro? Where is he?
Ibiza.
Well, he'll be there.
Yeah.
He will be there.
He will be there. He will be there. Yeah. I can't. I didn't like his Instagram post afterwards. Yeah, I thought that was just a bit. And this is being kind. I think it was just a bit on the petulant side. I can't remember who the manager of Spain even is, but I hope he had a good conversation with him after that and just be like, look, okay, you want to put these posts up about your average rating via stats over the course of the year compared to other right backs in the Premier League or something. Okay, cool. Well, now I'm going to tell you why I didn't pick you as you're outing yourself and me on social media. And yeah, just be like, well, this is what I want from you to be picked in any kind of future squad, and this is why you didn't make it to this tournament this time. Like, I think it almost goes without saying, but because he made that post, I think, yeah, I just didn't like the petulance in that, and now we've got it benefiting Spurs, and we've got another big name who didn't make an international team's squad, which was announced a few hours ago. In James Maddison, who didn't put out a petulant message, to be fair, although he had a sly little dig because he was like, yeah, I was a mainstay in the qualifying squads. Fair. He did keep on getting called up. And yeah, he felt like he offered something a little bit different, which, yeah, he kind of does. But it's also something someone like Eze can offer. So,
I mean,
that is what that is.
in Madison's case, second half of the season, he didn't deserve to go.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's a quality player. There's no denying that. But second half of the season, of what we saw, he didn't deserve to go. And to be honest with you, It's no different to when Gaza didn't get picked for 98. But the difference was Gaza deserved to go. Like, he was quality, like, in the build-up. Maddison was just, he was a mainstay, but he wasn't. What trees did he put up?
Wasn't like, no. His last few international appearances have had good cameos, although albeit off the bench. I can't remember if he started against, was it Italy? We played friendly, or was it Belgium? He set up an equalising goal for Bellingham. So sorry if I can't remember exactly what game that was.
Belgium, was it not? He came
Sorry?
off the bench. He came off the bench against Belgium.
Correct. So okay, that must have been who we got the equaliser against then. After Lewis Dunk just got dunked on, and I felt like he had a really good game against Bosnia in his little cameo. Just kept everything flowing. He was very incisive, and I think it's definitely a player that England could have and need in their squad. But again, you've got Eze, who looks like he's probably blowing people out the water in training because Jack Grealish hasn't gone either. And
well, you got to look at it like this. This is because obviously we're talking about players that have been omitted from their international team. This is the final team. I'm just going to read the midfield and the forwards because that's the positions in which Maddison could have slotted in. Trent, Conor Gallagher, Jesus, Maino, Rice, Wharton, makes sense. Bellingham, Bowen, Eze, Foden, Gordon, Kane, Palmer, Saka, Tony, Watkins. Who gets omitted to make space for Maddison?
Either I think it was a case of Southgate may have not have been sure if he wanted to take both Mainu and Wharton. And now he's seen Wharton up close. He's made his final decision, be like, okay, we need that guy. We need his profile, probably more than we need a creative 10. It is a kind of profile that England have been screaming out for since Winks. And anyway,
that's
no, it's just been a player that England have been screaming out for in general. I can't even lie. And it's been a while. Declan Rice isn't quite that guy at 6. And just seeing Mainu and Wharton have very impressive debuts, both in that position, I think that just made Southgate's mind up and just kind of cemented what he'd like the balance of his squad to be. I just hope he doesn't keep on experimenting with Trent there, and then you've kind of justified the omission of a Maddison.
He's going to experiment with Trent.
He already has, and it's not worked that well.
Well, he's going to be stubborn, and the only way he can justify it is England.
Yeah, well, he is a Crawley boy, so I kind of rate that.
Crawley's not fun.
Yeah, especially for me. But yeah, bless him. I'm just thinking on the selfish side as well. I think it would be good for Maddison to come back fresh, no injury problems, and a bit of a fire lit up under him as well. Because
we hope so. We would literally hope so.
Yeah,
we got. Listen, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, but then next season we're in Europe. It's none of this. It's none of this one game a week. We're back to Sundays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Thursdays, whatever it is. We're back to that. So there's going to be a lot of rotation in this squad. And remember, it's a new format. There's none of this drop down from the Champions League. It's straight whoever's in the Europa is in the Europa. And I think you have to face like 10 teams. Might be wrong. It might be 10. But I know you've got.
I'm not sure. Something Football Manager also taught me, but I've forgotten.
Yeah, it's either. I think it's either 4 games away, 4 games at home, so 8 teams, or 5 away, 5 at home. Whatever the ratio is, that's what we have. Yeah, it's no longer going to be 6 games in the group stage. It's going to be a variation of like difficulty levels in terms of teams we're going to be facing. We want to be as high up that league table as possible. So players like Maddison, Bissouma, you're under surveillance.
I love that saying. I don't miss the ratio saying though. I can't remember the last time I saw that on football Twitter. Long may that continue. All right, well that will wrap it up for this week, man. I'm just wanting to just have the Euros in the window over and done with, because I'm tired of rumors, especially for players in. Like, I'm so over it. I like speculating about players I'd like to see, but as for actual rumors coming out,
Yeah, it's not.
it's just so long. But again, as long as it is, thank you for joining me on this pod.
Of course,
This
B.
year,
I'm
Mr.
around.
Scott Hall, flexing the new webcam.
Yeah, HD and all that. I fine boy, no pimple. Get me? You're lucky I didn't have a shape up. If I did, it'd have cracked your screen.
I was going to comment on you not having a shape up earlier, but I didn't
Don't worry,
want
I'm saving that for a certain
to.
holiday, because man is gone next week. You get me? Can't say too much. It's too tough. You get me? But there's gonna be a part of Europe that it's just gonna. Yeah, maybe like,
Oh,
again.
okay. I'm in Europe over the weekend, so I'll talk
Straight
soon.
on. Book me a flight.
Can't book your flight, but I might be able to upgrade you. We'll see. We'll see.
All right, safe, B.
All right, talk soon.
All
All right. For those as well who have been in the stream, by the way, thank you. It's quite difficult to get a podcast over the current affairs at Spurs, but yeah, Papa Blankson, Go Jeter, Wes, Tops, everyone. Thank you for coming to the stream. Questions galore. You make the pod what it is, so thank you. Look out for the streams on Twitter, especially at New Spurs Order. Patreon content coming soon, and TikTok and Instagram at New Spurs Order. But for now, come on, you Spurs.
Peace.
Peace.